The Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, the 4th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to Jesus, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But Jesus answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again, it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." And again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor, and he said to him, "All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. The Gospel of the Lord. One of the prevalent themes of Lent is wilderness. Jesus in the wilderness, Satan in the wilderness we find ourselves in, and the wilderness that lives within us. Typically, when we think of the wilderness, our imaginations conjure up trappings and dangers that may lurk in the shadows to tempt us, or the possibility of wild beasts who lie in wait, waiting to pounce on us in unknown darkness. The wilderness isn't a friendly place. The wilderness, even as Jesus will attest to, houses haunting questions which send reverberations throughout our bones. The devil makes sure that the wilderness and the wildness echoes throughout our days, even when we feel like we've escaped. Sometimes when I'm deep in the wilds, it can feel terrifyingly alone, as if nobody has ever set foot in these places. No map has been forged to mark the way, and it's all up to me to find my way out. Satan peppers Jesus with endless questions about what kind of God he is. But for me, the accusing statements and the big questions arise from my very being. Because it is in the dark of the night, in the wasteland within my heart, and from the tangles of my intellect, that the questions come. What is my purpose? What does God have to say to me? Why is life so hard? How will I get up tomorrow? Where is God? And all of these are, of course, followed by that annoying voice from within asking me, why can't I just sleep? Maybe the devil is behind them, or maybe they're from myself. I don't really know. All I do know is that I hurl all these wonderings at the night sky. And predictably, the sun falls and the darkness comes, both literally and figuratively. And I, unlike Jesus, am not as resolute, not as faithful, not as quick on my feet in responding to the beasts of the night. That's how it is with me. I always think of like the clever quip hours after the fact, and then I beat myself up because somehow my quip, had it been said, would have protected me from the world's assaults. Which is honestly fine. I mean, mostly smart comebacks and sarcasm will only get you so far in life. Except it's not fine when it's the devil who's paralyzing me in my tracks, or worse, my own self. When the night sky is without end and my worried heart starts to pound and I wonder which way to go, I have to remind myself that I'm not the first to be in this land, and I'm not alone. For as long as there has been creation, the wilds have existed, even before there was creation. Because first, right, we know first there was an endless void, a dark chasm of nothingness that God, in their infinite wisdom, looked upon and painted bright goldenrod upon this desolate backdrop. And God took the black hole, which sought to swallow up all light and matter, and tended it into a garden which grew hope and promise, a garden which held fascinating creatures and beautiful people. But note that that garden was planted smack dab in the middle of the wilderness. You would think that I could remember my way back. For all the times that I've bushwhacked briars and wrestled with bears, you'd think that I would know the way back to the garden. And yet I get just as disoriented today as I did the first time I lost my way. I remember, and you may remember, the confident kindergartner that emerged within you when you could finally recite your home address by heart. 815 Edgebrook Drive, Shore, Illinois, 60435. That's my childhood address from the time I was kindergarten through 7th grade. It is etched on my heart and my memory. I will never forget it. And I believe that no matter what happened, I could get home. If I can remember that, you would think that I would learn my way out of the wilderness of life. I've climbed mountains, confident that over the crest, home will be on the horizon only to find more mountains. I've tried waiting dutifully and patiently, only to find I've been standing in some God-forsaken purgatory line. I've crossed rivers of blood and tears, only to be subsumed by an undertow, which seems to suck me away from God. Like the Israelites who wandered for 40 years, I seem destined to spend most of my days navigating the wilderness, which irritates me a tiny bit, or maybe a lot. The days either seem too short, I'll never find my way, or too long, I'm too tired to find my way. Jesus may not have needed God's mighty angels to tend to him in the temptations and trials of the wilderness, but I most certainly do. When the devils taunt me whispering, "Where is your God?" as he points to atrocity after atrocity, I need the angels because I can't go it alone. Fortunately, the angels of God reside within the wilderness too. They hang in the balances of the cosmos and in the cracks of the earth's crust, waiting to speak truth to the devil when we cannot, willing to linger close when the beasts begin to track us, and swoop into our hearts when they begin to harden. These heralds of hope never leave. And I think that God made sure to paint them into the wilderness from the very start. And maybe just knowing that they were there, maybe that mattered a lot to Jesus as he strove with Satan. Because as much as we may feel that we're alone in the wilderness, the truth remains we are not. It doesn't mean that we don't feel alone. It just means we aren't. The devil may try to convince me to eat fruit that will poison my body, and that in the wilderness I will die. But as much as I may not want to admit it, like the Garden of Eden, the wilderness is where I grow. It's where God tends our wounds, stakes us to his side, roots us in promise, and sustains us with his very being. Where is my God? In the whole of this universe. Where is God, and what kind of God is he? We can point that sneaky snake to the wilderness and say, there. God is there in the wilderness. God is in the big night sky, and God is in my worried heart. God is in my questions and in his answers. God is in the truth that we are not alone, and in the angels he sends among us. God is in this untamed world, and in the hushed peace of the wind. God is the wilderness of the cross, and God is the dawn on the